Yeah, of course, it is for sure, sir. Good.
Admiral, sir.
Closest to the water.
Yeah, you're close to the water because you're army.
Step back.
Ladies and gentlemen, sirs, welcome to today's press conference displaying the start of Baltops 2025. We'll start with our statements, starting with Admiral Albee, Chief of Staff German headquarters, followed by Vice Admiral Anderson, Commander of the 60th US Navy, and followed by General Meade. Sir?
Yeah, thank you much. Very welcome here in the naval base of Warnemünde. We are really delighted to have you with us, but we are also delighted to have Strike for NATO with us and the sailors, airmen and seamen, and also DECOM Brunsum here in Warnemünde. That underlines the importance of our mission we have for the upcoming days in Baltops. Deterrence and defense is a key military task for the German armed forces. Landes- und Bündnisverteidigung ist der Kernauftrag der Bundeswehr. That is not only a principle we live, that must be trained and exercised. The German Navy and the German armed forces, we are determined to strengthen NATO, to strengthen NATO effectiveness and combat effectiveness. We want to deliver deterrence and defense effects. That's what we like to do. Baltops is an excellent exercise to train our ships companies, our airmen and sailors, to exactly do what they have to do to deliver excellent deterrence and defense. And that must be trained. Baltops underlined, in addition, that our operational thinking follows a one-theater approach. A one-theater approach means that we do not only think in terms of the Baltic approaches and Baltic Sea, but also the connectivity between the North Atlantic and the Baltic Sea. We have to ensure, as NATO members, as Germany to contribute to, we have to ensure that the sea lines of communications are safe from Norfolk, Virginia, United States, America, going up to the east, to Kotka, the harbor in Finland. And that's what we like to train, and that's what we like to exercise. Here in Pacific, specifically with a main effort in the Baltic Sea region, which is a really complex joint environment. Baltops will foster our maritime warfighting capability. Baltops will foster readiness to demonstrate the executability of NATO's operational planning. And finally, a realistic training at sea is the best investment in a credible deterrence and defense for NATO and for our nations. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for taking the time to join us as we embark on Baltops 25. I'm Vice Admiral J.T. Anderson. I'm Commander of Striking and Support Forces NATO and Commander of the United States Sixth Fleet. So on Thursday, we'll kick off our 54th iteration of Baltops, which is an exercise that sets the foundation of interoperability across NATO and across the entire alliance. Baltops represents the keystone of our exercise season and demonstrates half a century of unwavering commitment to maritime security by our allies and our partners. Lessons learned from Baltops enables missions and exercises like NATO's Enhanced Vigilance Activity Neptune Strike and Formidable Shield. In the most recent iteration of Neptune Strike, Strike 4 NATO reinforced freedom of movement across the alliance's southern and southeastern flank. French aircraft carrier Charles de Gaulle, Italian carrier Cavour, British carrier HMS Prince of Wales, and USS Harry S. Truman all participated. And just last week in the North Atlantic, we concluded Europe's largest integrated air and missile defense exercise, at-sea demonstration Formidable Shield 2025. 11 nations participated in a series of live fire events against subsonic, supersonic, and ballistic threats. Likewise, BALTOPS stands as the premier annual joint multinational maritime-focused exercise in the Baltic Sea. And this exercise continually adapts to meet current and emerging regional security demands of the Baltic region, bringing together participating nations in a realistic training environment to ensure maritime stability and European economic prosperity. Through more than 50 iterations of this exercise serial, generations of allied and partner nations, sailors, Marines, soldiers, and airmen have broadened their operational experience and built lasting relationships. I look forward to the next 2.5 weeks, and I look forward to your questions.
So good morning. My name is Lieutenant General John Meade. I'm the Deputy Commander of Joint Force Command Brunssum, which is NATO's operational headquarters responsible for the Baltic Sea region, responsible for the deter and defence of the Baltic Sea region and of Central Europe. I just wanted to first of all say thank you to Commander Sixth Fleet, Admiral Anderson and the US Navy for everything they do in terms of BALTOPS, the resourcing of this wonderful exercise, and also for his personal leadership of driving US and NATO convergence and interoperability on this exercise. And my thanks also to the German Navy and to Admiral Abri in everything they've done to make Rostock for the first time the pre-sale event location for BALTOPS, and also everything you've done in strengthening the alliance in the maritime domain of late, which I'll touch on briefly. I would just make 3 points, if I may, to underscore the comments already made by the maritime leaders to my left. And that is about this aspect of deterrence and why BALTOPS is significant in enhancing our deterrence posture. Also in this important point about BALTOPS in furthering our strategic partnerships, and finally in driving interoperability. So of enormous benefit to the alliance. First of all, in terms of deterrence, we live in interesting times. And concurrent to this exercise, NATO is still running Enhanced Vigilance Activity Baltic Sentry, which is charged at deterring threats against critical undersea infrastructure in the Baltic Sea. That is commanded at the operational level by my headquarters, Joint Force Command Brunssum. The supported component is the maritime component in Northwood, UK, and the tactical integration of that activity is conducted here in Rostock by CTF Baltic. That exact command and control structure is also supporting BALTOPS. So we are seamless, we are integrated, we are unified in all that we do. Sometimes in terms of deterrence, particularly in the Baltic Sea, only a ship will do, and as you can see behind us, an incredible resourcing here. But I would also commend to you the amount of innovation that's going on in this exercise in terms of uncrewed systems, drone technology and the like, something that NATO seeks to learn from in our approach as we also bring in what is called Task Force X into the Baltic Sea for experimentation of uncrewed systems through the course of the summer. Our second point, I think, has already been strongly made about strategic partnership. The way that Supreme Allied Commander Europe is driving convergence between the US and NATO, but all nations really are driving convergence to bring unity of effort in terms of our response, and the BALTOPS is just a wonderful opportunity to really enhance that. And finally, BALTOPS is so significant because it's so well resourced, and it's our sailors, soldiers, airmen, marines, civilians coming together and actually participating in a busy exercise with a lot of presence throughout the Baltic Sea. So the lessons in terms of interoperability are profound, and not just in the maritime domain, but also as we integrate land component, air component, cyber and space technologies as well. So everything this exercise does helps build real-world readiness, helps deter adversaries, and very much enhances the strength of the alliance. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. You may now have the chance to ask your questions. please introduce yourself and media you're coming from and direct your question directly to one person. We'll start from there.
My name is Axel Busser from the local newspaper Ostsee-Zeitung, Baltic News. And my question is, what are your expectations and your towards CTF Baltic? And what can you say to the work they did till now?
Yeah, so I appreciate that question. Thank you. With respect to CTF Baltic, this is a new construct that we're incorporating into Baltop's previous iterations. We did not utilize CTF Baltic and many of the other NATO organizations that General Meade highlighted. So I'm looking forward to, at the tactical level, their ability to provide, tactical control of the aspects of the exercise and the individual serials that span the spectrum of maritime operations: air, surface, subsurface, littorals, mine countermeasures. Again, across the spectrum of maritime operations.
Thank you very much. Yes, please.
My name is Helmut Volker from the German Press Agency. Mr. Harvey, what do you know about the Russian activities during this maneuver of Baltic? Obviously, there are some present in the Baltic Sea. From that.
Yes, of course. Thank you much for the question. Of course, we observe continuously Russian activity in the area. We do think that the Russian fleet will have a clear understanding what the course of action is currently, and we assess that there will be some reconnaissance activity. But I think in NATO, in Strike for NATO, the procedures and principles are well in place to react on that.
The lady in the white coat.
My name is Susanne Seide from the German television, and may I ask also in German?
Yes, from Federal Admiralty.
Sagst du, was bedeutet Baltops jetzt genau in dieser angespannten Situation? Was zeigen Sie damit?
Ja. Ich möchte den Bogen ein bisschen größer spannen. Baltops ist ein sehr langes Manöver und Admiral Anderson hat es gesagt, seit 50 Jahren machen wir das und es hat verschiedene Phasen gehabt und es hat immer den richtigen Platz gehabt. Im Kalten Krieg, in der Phase von Partnership for Peace, wo wir viele Nationen hier integriert haben und natürlich jetzt auch als ein Kernstück von Landes- und Bündnisverteidigung. Es hat zwei Aspekte. Es hat einmal den taktischen Aspekt, dass wir zeigen wollen, lernen, dass unsere maritimen Handwerk, unsere maritimen Fähigkeiten beherrschen und das gerade im Bündnis mit verschiedenen Nationen zusammen. Und natürlich hat es auch einen strategischen Effekt hier in der Ostsee, dass wir darstellen, dass wir abschreckungs- und verteidigungsfähig sind für die Ziele, die wir teilen in der NATO.
Sehen Sie sich denn da auch noch, es gibt ja Diskussionen über die NATO seitens der USA, sehen Sie sich da noch eigentlich begleitet?
Fest im Verbund mit den Vereinigten Staaten, fest im Verbund in der NATO, fest im Verbund mit allen NATO-Partnern. Und das leben wir hier, wir die Flagoffiziere, die hier stehen natürlich, die Admiräle, die Generäle, das erleben aber auch die Besatzung untereinander. Daran habe ich überhaupt keinen Zweifel.
Spezielle Fähigkeiten, was Luftabwehr auf See, wie sehr soll das weggestellt werden?
Die Marine hat eine ausgewogene Flotte mit ihren Fähigkeiten, aber natürlich völlig richtig, wir müssen in die Zukunft investieren und dazu genau diese Fähigkeiten, die wir aufbauen müssen. Das betrifft eine Verstärkung in der U-Bootsjagd mit der Fregatte F-126, aber natürlich einen neuen Schritt zu gehen mit Blick auf die Luftverteidigung und das ist ja die Fregatte F-127, das Projekt, was wir angehen wollen. Und wenn wir diesen Weg gehen, wir sprechen immer von Fight Tomorrow, dann ist es so, dass wir wieder eine ausgewogene Flotte haben werden, mit der wir alle Aufträge erfüllen können. Aber auch schon heute ist die Marine unzweifelhaft in der Lage, ihren Bündnis- und Verteidigungsauftrag vollumfänglich wahrzunehmen.
What is NATO's impression terms of
I thank you. I know I touched on it. I think the German maritime support to the alliance is remarkable, and the most visible recent support is the way that the German Navy stood up and transferred CTF Baltic, Command Task Force Baltic under NATO command, to deliver Baltic Sentry, and did it really rather rapidly. When we look at the time scale for some of the way that the infrastructure was, critical undersea infrastructure was damaged at around the Christmas time, and by January, CTF Baltic here in Rostock was commanding that operation. So, I think what Germany is doing in terms of its modernisation, in terms of its support to across all domains, has been remarkable.
Oliver Denson from Reuters Television. A question for Admiral Anderson. The importance of the Gotland has grown in past years, facing Estland and Lithuania and Estonia, Lithuania. Could you elaborate on the role of this island within the Baltic Ops 2025?
Well, thanks for the question. I think throughout the operating region here in the Baltic, each country that in the Baltic region that's contributing to this exercise is extremely important and integral to the conduct. To include all the islands within the Baltic. We have a really robust exercise serials that are going to operate throughout the Baltic to include the Gotland. Thank you.
Very much, gentlemen. Blue ticket.
Yeah, I don't know. Answer the question, but I'd like to know the question of hybrid warfare is discussed. Right. So, how do you influence that aspect? Has it changed? I mean, from last year to this year?
Who was the question? The question is for who?
I don't know.
Can you repeat the question one more time, please?
I'd like to know how the aspect of hybrid warfare is implemented in Baltics. Does it change because we're talking about undersea communication cables, stuff like that? I'd like to know which part has it involved. Is it the main part?
Yeah, I think every iteration of Baltops adapts to the current security environment, and so that's while Baltops is separate and distinct from Baltic Sentry, as has been previously highlighted. There are certain aspects, especially in the surface and subsurface domains, that will while we may not contribute directly to Baltic Sentry, we'll have an eye toward the objectives that go toward that, both in this current iteration as well as future iterations. And as General Meade highlighted, we are incorporating our own ability to advance new capabilities such as unmanned capabilities and certainly mine countermeasure capabilities as well.
Very much. We have time for two more questions.
How convinced are you that Baltops will take next year?
I'm sorry, one more time?
How sure are you that Baltops will take place next year?
While we're focused on Baltops 25, I can say that the day after the conclusion of Baltops 25, we're already thinking about and planning for Baltops 26. So I'm highly confident to be able to execute Baltops 26 next year.
Last question, please.
Admiral Anderson, there are a lot of Russian drones in the air. How do you feel threatened by Russian drones while you're stationed here in Rostock?
I don't feel threatened by Russian drones or any other drones here in Rostock. I feel completely safe, and so do our forces. So.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks. Good.